welcome to my second edition of Life Uncovered with me, Kate Maxx. You're probably wondering why I look a bit more undressed this time. Well, that's because I decided that as a professional naked person, I wanted to show you guys every side of my life. So I started off slow, like I like to do, and my first podcast was a little more clothed. It's winter time in Canada, so it's pretty cold. You got to give me a break. But this time I wanted to give you guys an inside look at what it's like a day in the life of a professional naked person. So I'm sitting here right now in my hotel room. Everything's actually, it's pretty messy in here. I'm not gonna embarrass myself too much, but that's my makeup mirror. There's a lot going on this table. And I decided to, oh, there goes my camera. All right. I decided to wear what I would normally wear on the floor at a strip club or starting at a nude photo shoot, or when I worked online as an online personality. It all kind of revolved around getting naked and lingerie. So I decided to wear what you would normally catch me in if you catch me in a strip club. So let me go through the outfit real fast. Like the bra, I love the clasp in the middle because I don't have really big boobs, so these kind of push everything up where they need to be. Big fan of the skirt. I don't know why I have a weird thing about showing all of my butt. I like to have a little bit of coverage. So yeah, that's what I got going on. And tiny little jewel panties because, you know, you got to draw attention to the good parts. So yeah, I'm sitting here in my stripper outfit because it's the weekend. I'm staying at a hotel and I'm kind of prepping myself to go to work tonight at the strip club. Right now, I'm only working weekends, which is pretty nice because then I get time to podcast with you guys, see my friends. It's a good life balance. So last time I told you guys about a couple of my very first times nude modeling and acting. So I asked Instagram to tell me about a couple of their first times that they've tried this year in 2019. And I got a variety of answers. So let's go through them. Let's go through them before we go and talk about another one of my first times. Okay. So I'm not going to say anyone's screen names, but I will talk about the experiences. So I wrote on Instagram in one of those little question boxes for anyone out there to share anything new that they've tried in 2019. It doesn't have to be sexy, but, you know, the sexier the better, I say. So we'll start off with, let's do them in order. Someone said CBD, which is, for those of you out there who don't know, it's a cannabis thing, except it's a flower without the THC in it, so you don't get high, but you get the relaxing qualities that you get with marijuana without all the paranoia and stuff. People seem to do really well on it. It has like calming effects. So yeah, I'd say that's an awesome thing to try, and I'm glad it's going well. Someone else wrote threesome. You know what? January is kind of a slow month, so it's pretty cool to get it a little freaky, a little experimental in January. You know, you're stuck inside your house. Your friends are stuck inside their houses too. Mix the two together in one house and see what happens, right? So yeah, threesome is definitely a cool thing that's been tried. Okay, let's do one more, and then I'll tell you something new that I've tried this week. Actually, today. So someone said that they tried casual sex. That's a good one. Casual sex. So I guess this person must have been kind of looking for the commitment, and this year they decided, hey, you know what? let's go the Tinder route, or I don't know, just like do what I do. I like to go and meet like a rando in a bar when I'm looking for casual sex, or I might hit up one of the people that have kind of been sitting in the sidelines for a while and be like, hey, let's give it a go. But I have to say I've always been pretty good and pretty pro casual sex. It's hard to, I don't know, relationships are difficult and a lot of work, but the casual sex thing, I know how to do that really well. Actually, I have a couple tips for that, but if you want to know, we'll talk about that another time, the casual sex thing. But hey, I'm so glad that someone's trying it for the first time in 2019, because some of okay, you guys can write in to at Kate _Max_ on Instagram or Twitter and let me know whether or not you are into casual sex and how you go about it, because I'm sure we all have different ways, and you know, sometimes you get caught up in feelings, but I'm definitely not a first timer at casual sex. Sometimes I wish I was, though, like to go back and really like enjoy that first thrill before you kind of figure the game out. I would go back in time and do that. But you know what? Some of my casual sex times that I've had in my life have actually been some of the best sex times, because it was casual and because there was no commitment and there was no need for follow through afterwards either. Like that one timer, it sticks in your mind because it's simple, right? It's simple and easy, and there's not a lot that went with it because it was just one night of everyone having a good time. So good for you for having some casual sex this year. I applaud that. Okay, now we'll talk about one of my first times. So this week I've had to challenge myself and try something a little bit different. So I have my OnlyFans website, which is onlyfans.com/Kate Maxx. There you can find all kinds of stripping videos, some sexier stuff, some solo stuff, some not solo stuff. You know, I like sharing. I like sharing what I'm up to, what turns me on, just whatever I'm doing. So my OnlyFans is pretty diverse, and I also sometimes take custom videos, which is this weekend, usually when I'm holed up like this in a hotel room. There's a crazy snowstorm out there. So I'm pretty down to like stay in my hotel room and make custom videos. I have a lot of fun doing it, and I get to wear cute outfits. So I pretty much just like hang out in my hotel room, get Uber Eats, film the podcast. Oh, you guys can't see. Film the podcast. And make custom videos. So usually I can kind of guess what the requests are going to be like, but once in a while there's always a surprise one, or one that I'm like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do that. So this week I had a request for a femdom video, which the whole concept isn't completely foreign to me. Like, I have dommed people in the past, usually really high-powered guys that are in like positions of power, kind of like that. I don't know. I think people walk up to me and ask me to dom them without even knowing anything about me. So maybe I just look mean when I have like a resting bitch face. I have no idea, but people walk up to me and ask me to dom them pretty often, like at least once a year. And I do have a slave actually that has been coming to see me for, I can't even tell you how many years. But yeah, we've had a very long lasting dom and slave relationship that's been it's been pretty steady actually. So I'm not totally new to that experience. However, I am new to doing it to a camera, because when you're there in person and you can see someone's face, you can feel their energy, you can feel their anticipation, you can kind of feed off of that. But being alone in a hotel room and doming your cam and telling them how it's going to be, and yeah, it's a little bit tricky. So that was my first time experience this week. it felt cool to actually do it because I never thought that I actually would make a solo femdom video. So it was cool to do it. It was challenging, and for me, it was much less natural than if I was doing it in person. But maybe someone out there will give me a chance to try again. Okay, so let's talk about some more first times. Yeah, I've got my little notebook here because I'm trying to be prepared with my podcast. So I'm not a total pro yet, so I'm gonna look down at my notebook once in a while. All right, let's talk about some first times. Okay, let's talk about my first time stripping. My first time stripping it's a bit different than what we talked about last time. Last time I talked about acting naked on camera and doing nude photo shoots. The way that it's different is that during a shoot, you're told what to do. There's a crew there. You're expected to do things a certain way or else you have to start and do it again. And there's a lot of takes. You can make mistakes, It's a machine. It's like a working machine when you're on set. So stripping, it's not exactly the same as that. Stripping has a lot more flexibility because it's really up to the individual how they do it and how they go about it. So everyone's got their own different style. Like I've seen a million different approaches, a million different ways that girls dance on stage, and it works for somebody. That's the thing. So stripping, my first time at a strip club was not to be a stripper. Here's the thing. I was a shooter girl, which is you wear a sexy little outfit and you have a tray of test tube shots. There's about 4 shots of each, and there's 12 rows, anything from like tequila white, Jägermeister, tequila rose, creamsicle shots, green apples, buttery nipples, like all kinds of different flavors. So you're carrying around this tray and you do shooters with the customers, and you can give them hooter shooters. So you stick one in between your boobs. I have to press mine together a lot to give a hooter shooter, but it's manageable. So you give out hooter shooters. Sometimes you give booty shooters, whatever. So that was my first time in a strip club. And when it came to actually working in a strip club, I thought I knew what was going on. I was pretty confident. I thought I was a little bit better off than someone who had never been in a strip club before. But I was so wrong. I was so wrong as a shooter girl. I did not see and understand what the whole thing was like. I really was naive and thought, oh yeah, you get to go and you look hot on a stage, then you go and you get lap dances. Like, I didn't realize the hustle that came with it, I guess. So, okay, let's talk about my first time stripping in a strip club. This is how it went down. I was in my first semester of college. I was taking marketing, which, you know what, here's the truth. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just knew I was supposed to do post-secondary education in some way, and I had some ideas, but coming from a Chinese family that's pretty traditional in their values, I had a hard time being able to express what I wanted to do. So things like entertainment business management was one of my choices, or something in entertainment, but that was definitely ruled out by my family. So it was a compromise. It was a compromise to pick marketing. I'm sure some of you can understand out there. It's hard to pick something when you're like 17, 18 years old and decide, like, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life for sure. I definitely know. I mean, that's a scary decision, and I've totally freaked out. So I picked marketing. I'm in school. I don't think I like it, like, I'm not really taking it seriously. The course is pretty easy so far, but I mean, like, I'm doing the bare minimum at that point. My heart's totally not into it. So I'm there. I'm also, I've also been living on my own for a while. I moved out when I was about 15 or 16 years old, so I kind of grew up in my late teens without a lot of rules. I could kind of do whatever I want. So I did get myself in a little bit of trouble, which meant budgeting very terribly, because when you're 19 and you have all the freedom in the world, and that without, a family that's like checking in on you all the time, you kind of get crazy with your money, or like really irresponsible. So I was partying a lot, and I put myself in a position where I was out of money. I was a student full time. I didn't have a car. I was just trying to figure it all out, and I guess you could say, like, I did put myself in a bit of a desperate position. So I thought, you know what? I needed that extra push. I needed that little bit of desperation, but there was something in me that always was attracted to stripping. I always thought the women who did it were like so cool. I loved the shoes. I loved the outfit. I loved the girl that come out on like the daytime talk show and was like, whatever. I was bullied in high school, and now I'm a stripper and I'm fantastic. Like, I thought that girl was so cool. Like, I thought that was like, what a way to redeem yourself. Like, I didn't understand the stigma that came with it. I just thought, like, wow, what a super strong, cool individual. So there was always that draw to it, but I never thought that I would be starting off because I was needing to eat the next day or kind of make ends meet. But that's how it did start for me. So I guess in that way it's pretty stereotypical, right? Like, people start stripping out of desperation. Surprise, surprise. Some of us do. So that was my position. I had just gone and spent my last $40 I had to my name. I mean, I'm talking about like no bank account back then, because I thought that all your money should be stored in a Finding Nemo DVD case. Yeah, that was me. Really smart. Really still living kind of like a child. So that's what I was doing. I took my last $40, and it took like an hour-long cab ride to the next couple towns over. I had asked some people that I worked with at a restaurant before for advice of like places out of town, because I didn't want to get recognized. Like, when you first start stripping, you're scared people are going to notice you. You're scared that people from high school are going to talk, and so you're kind of keeping it under wraps, which is way different than right now. Right now, I'm like all over Instagram preaching about how great stripping is, and like, come see me and come see my show. But before, I was scared. I was 19. I was scared my family would find out. I was scared that my peers would know, and that I'd just be like the butt of everyone's joke. And oh my God, had this thing where I was like, I'm okay to get naked for strangers, but if people I know see me naked, not okay. So I had a lot of crap to get over. Like, when it came to stripping, I was definitely overthinking it. But let's get back to the story. So I took my last $40, and I go to this strip club out of town by the airport, and I was scared. Like, I was actually so petrified, because I mean, that's a huge gamble. You took the last of your money to get somewhere. I didn't even have money to get home. That's how much I was banking on the fact that I could do this and at least make maybe $100 to get myself home, and then like buy a steak the next day. It was all I was really aiming for. So I walked in the strip club, then I walked out. I walked in again and looked around, and then I walked out. And I stood outside, and I think I like freaked out, and then I walked in one more time, and then the bouncer stopped me and was like, "Are you okay? Like, do you need help? Are you gonna be okay? You lost?" So yeah, that was when I said, okay, yeah, I called earlier, I want to strip. And I went and I spoke to the manager. Everything was like a real whirlwind. Like, no one, when you're a stripper, no one trains you. No one takes you under their wing and says, hey, this is how you hustle. This is how you sell a lap dance. This is how you give a lap dance. This is what you do when someone tries to rip you off for money. Or this is what you do when someone crosses your boundaries and you told them that that's not okay. No one teaches you any of that. It was basically like change room, stage, DJ booth, VIP, go now. So I'm standing there just like scared out of my mind. I don't even have the proper stripper shoes. I'm wearing these like wooden slippery things that I got to wear at a nightclub, like a black and red bikini that I had randomly had that looked cute at the time. Some things never change though, black and red, right? So yeah, I was like shaking like a leaf. I went downstairs and stood by the bar, by myself and realized, oh my God, I have to go talk to someone. I have to go talk to someone. They're going to look me up and down and decide if they want to pay money to see me naked. That's a scary thing, because back then I definitely wasn't as confident as I am now with my body. I mean, that's something that stripping has definitely done for me, and nude modeling and just being naked has made me so much more confident with what I have, and accepting of all different body types. Like it's definitely helped, I think, in that sense. So I'm there, I'm trying to sell a dance, I don't know what to do, and I meet a man, and he says, he kind of just talked to me. I told him it was my first day. I was very transparent. I still am kind of pretty open book in all aspects. So I told him it was my first day. I told him that I was scared and I didn't know what I was doing. So then I mustered up all my courage and asked him oh, do you want to go for a dance with me? And he turned me down. He said no. Yeah. I was really hoping he would say yes, because that would have done wonders for my self-esteem, but he said no. So I'm standing there looking at him, wondering how can I not feel like a total jerk, gross, unattractive, just go crawl in a hole, hide your body under a bag, gross. So yeah, I didn't feel that great about myself. And then came an offer that if you work as a dancer, you're going to hear this one pretty often. The offer to go home with someone. So he put that on the table, and I just freaked out. I thought that stripping was stripping and escorting is escorting, and I know the difference, so everyone else should. That is not how the world works. Not everyone knows the difference. But you can't blame a guy for asking either, right? I'm pretty okay with a guy asking. I mean, I'm the type that will ask for what I want. So if a guy asks to go home with me, I'm like, hey, can't blame a guy for trying. So he asked about that. But at the time, I was total newbie, and it freaked me out. I thought, I was like, what is happening right now? You know where to find an escort, right? Why are we putting me in this position? So I said no. I don't know exactly what I said, but I declined, and I was basically said something along the lines of, no amount of money can make me change my mind about this, or something. It's just something that I wasn't able to do back then, and still now it's not something I do. So this is the weird part. That was all a very normal conversation, but this is the weird part, because I stuck to my guns and I told him, no, I'm not into that, you can't change my mind. And it was my first day. I think it being my first day helped a lot. He opened his wallet and gave me a few $100s and was like, that's for sticking to your morals, good for you, because a lot of girls in here would do it for a lot less. And I'm just shove it in my purse, before he changes his mind, put it in my bag. It's once it's in there, it's mine, so can't take it back, no take backsies. And then I looked at him, I was like, wow, is it really that easy? And he looked at me and was like, it'll never be that easy for you ever again. And he was right. That's one of those first day lessons that has nothing to do with getting naked, but it stuck with me forever and ever, and I'll probably never forget it. I mean, I'll be telling the story when I'm 80, and people won't believe that I was ever a stripper. But yeah, that was the weirdest experience. And you know what? To this day, no one has ever paid me for turning them down for sex. So yeah, it's a pretty unique experience. Okay, the rest of the day. How did the rest of the day go stripping? So after that, I was lucky enough to have sold quite a few lap dances that night. People like the newbie, people, they like the new girl, whether you're new at the club or new at stripping. For some reason, the new girl has a lot of appeal. I get it, after a while, your show and your whole attitude gets very polished, and you kind of figure out what your hustle is and what your whole game is and what your appeal is. But when you're new, you give a lot away, of information about yourself. You're very genuine. You know, like you're still trying to figure out the game. And I think even just by the way you stand, your demeanor, people can tell that you're not super comfortable in your own skin just yet. And there is a little bit of appeal in that, right? Like that person that's a little bit feeling vulnerable or shy, you know, like that has its own appeal. So that was kind of what I had going on for me back then. I was really tiny then. I was really skinny. I had like no boobs. I mean, there was like even smaller than this. I had like no butt at all. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I've gotten more attractive with age. But yeah, that's what I was working with, and that's what I was selling at the time. So I remember that night I did make a bunch of money. So I must have done pretty well in the VIP. It was a Wednesday night, so you know, it's not the easiest night to make money, but I did all right. And then right before the end of the night, I was starting to feel pretty comfortable, and my boss had told me, you don't have to go on stage, like we don't force the new girls to do it, but if you want to, you can. So me being me, just like balls to the wall, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do the whole thing. And plus there was like a part of me that was dying to get out, like this caged animal that had to go on stage. Even to this day, I love going on stage. Like, I mean, the majority of girls I know don't like it, but for me, it's such a good energy. It's time to play around. Like, I was looking at it as playtime, so I was amped. I was ready to go, and I did get put on stage. I mean, there were 2 customers left in the bar, so there was not that much pressure. But having grown up as a dancer and then having to dance and take your clothes off, there was a little bit of a guilty feeling there. There was a little bit of a panicking feeling, like, how am I going to do this? For some reason, I couldn't figure out how to navigate dancing and then taking my clothes off at the same time. For some reason, putting them together on stage was like the scariest idea to me. So the moments before I got on stage, I was freaking out. 1, about not to fall in my slippery wooden shoes. 2, to dance and not stop dancing while taking my clothes off. And 3, to somehow look good doing it. So that was the challenge. I went on stage and danced. No, not danced. I thrashed around to a playlist that was similar, if not exactly this, like Linkin Park, Evanescence, and probably more Linkin Park. So that's what I danced to the first night. And the first night there was a few lessons there. I mean, 1 from the generous man at the beginning of the night. 2, the other lesson was you're going to meet a lot of people that tell you a lot of personal things about themselves, things that they would not share with their wives, things they won't share with their friends. And some of them will come out and reveal that about themselves right away because, you know, they're under this umbrella of anonymity. You're a sex trade worker, you know, they're going to tell you what they're into, the things that are hard or weird, or the things that they're watching online but they want to experience in real life. So I had no idea this would be part of the job. And I mean, we can't get, obviously in strip clubs we can't get into like all the sexual fetishes, but some of them come into play, and we'll talk about that more because I've come across quite a few interesting ones in my day that we can talk about. So my last customer of the night was a foot guy, and that's something that I had never considered with stripping. I had fully thought about someone staring at my naked body. I'd fully thought about someone maybe trying to put a finger where it shouldn't go, but I had never thought about catering to people's fetishes, you know? Like, I never thought that people had a fetish for girls that keep their lingerie on, or stockings, or like this guy, a foot guy. So at the end of the night, after I'd gotten off stage from thrashing around to Linkin Park, he took me upstairs and wanted to just massage my feet. Here's the thing though, at the time I was really grossed out by not other people's feet, but my own feet. I was grossed out by my own feet because I grew up a ballerina. I had gnarly looking feet for quite a while, and even though that had changed because I hadn't been dancing for a couple of years before I started dancing on a pole, I was still feeling weird about someone touching my feet. So actually, this guy with his fetish helped me get over my own fears and start really enjoying foot rubs. So that was a really cool thing that happened my first day too. I learned a valuable lesson. I got on stage like a brave girl and did the full experience, the VIP experience, the hustling on the floor and the stage, which I actually totally loved. And I also got to experience someone else's fetish and experience that side of stripping. So it was a pretty well-rounded day, and it went well. I mean, I went in there thinking, okay, this is going to be like for one night, and like, you know, you can suck it up and handle it, and that's all it's going to be. No, I walked out of there like, I'm the queen of the world. This is amazing. See you guys tomorrow. I'm so hot. This is like the best thing ever. Why haven't I been doing this whole time? That's pretty much how I walked out of it. So that was my first time at a strip club, stripping. That's a pretty cool experience. I want to hear from anyone out there who has had a first time stripping, whether it be for a partner, or maybe you went to amateur night, maybe it was a dare at a party, maybe you went streaking. Tell me about your first times stripping, or even if it's for yourself in front of the mirror, you know, like maybe you do what I do and you kind of like test out your moves in front of the camera just to make sure you don't look stupid when you do it for someone else. Tell me about an experience that you've had stripping, whether it be good, funny, bad, silly. I want to hear about it. I want to see how it compares to mine or what everyone else's was like out there. Stripping on camera on a TV show is a little bit different than on stage. You don't have the freedom of creativity. It's also not a one-time shot either, you know, so there's not as much pressure to perform. You can kind of screw up and have bloopers and whatnot, but filming on camera for the Naked news program was it was a cool experience. Like, it was a cool job to have. I got to go to a lot of places and really get comfortable with being naked in a crowd. So my first time there, I guess, would be my audition. So my first time auditioning there, I wasn't worried about the nudity. I had already been stripping and, like I said, doing nude modeling and acting. So I wasn't worried about the nudity. I was pretty confident there. But the reading part was the scary part, you know? Like, there's a stripper stereotype, having a hard time reading. Anyway, I was pretty concerned about the words. So body-wise, appearance-wise, I felt good, even though now when I look at the footage, I didn't look so good. But I thought I did at the time. So that I like had the confidence. But when it came to the words, it was pretty much like this. I was like, that scene from Talladega Nights where I don't know what to do with my hands. So I'm just gonna put my hands here really awkwardly. Not a good look, but that's what my audition looked like. Really stiff, really uncomfortable, pretty much like the opposite of what it looked like when I went on stage that night. Like that night when I first started stripping, I was like possessed. I went on stage and I was just like having a great time. I thought it was like hot as hell. This audition on camera while being filmed and then being asked questions in an interview, I felt weird. I felt a little uncomfortable. I felt like I didn't know how to do this, and yeah, turns out I did okay because I got the job. But that's what it was like. They're two very similar jobs, I feel, but two very different experiences the very first time. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here in my hotel room. I'm about to sign off and eat some dinner. That's the stripper life before before we go to the club. So before I go, if you'd like to follow me, it is katemax.com. There you can find my Instagram, my Twitter, my OnlyFans, where to get my Snapchat, and so much more. Events, news, tour dates, photo shoots, free pictures, all kinds of stuff. So check out katemax.com and add me on all social media. That's where I will be posting my questions that I will answer or read out the answers to here on my podcast. Thank you so much again for coming with me on this journey of talking about first times. I'll see you next time, where we'll talk about a few more first times, and hopefully people will have told me about some of their first time experiences stripping. I'm excited for the answers. I hope you are too. All right, we'll see you later.